In a stunning turn of events that has left the global entertainment industry buzzing, BTS's eldest member Jin has been declared by several international outlets as surpassing Justin Bieber in popularity metrics for 2025. The claim, which at first sounded like fan-driven exaggeration, is now backed by hard data from Spotify and global fan engagement reports, sparking fierce debate across continents. At the center of the discussion is Jin's solo track, I'll Be There, which recently surpassed 200 million streams on Spotify, making it his sixth song to reach the milestone since his military discharge in June 2024. In comparison, some of Justin Bieber's latest singles have struggled to maintain long-term chart dominance, despite the Canadian star's enduring reputation. Industry watchers argue that Jin's ability to hit such streaming numbers as a soloist after an 18-month military hiatus demonstrates not only resilience, but a meteoric rise in his solo brand power. The contrast becomes sharper when looking at voting-based awards and fan-driven charts. Jin's recent triumph at the 2025 The Fact Music Awards, where he clinched the Fan and Star Choice Solo Award, was achieved through an overwhelming fan vote. Analysts note that ARMY's mobilization power has created a cultural force that even long-established Western artists like Bieber cannot replicate. Jin isn't just an idol, he represents a global movement. One US music critic commented, "Social media engagement tells the same story." Hashtags related to Jin, including #Jin, #Seokjin, and #JN, trended multiple times in the United States during August and September 2025. By comparison, Bieber's recent campaigns failed to generate sustained trending in US markets. The shift suggests that Jin's popularity is no longer confined to Asia or K-pop circles, but has firmly planted itself within mainstream Western culture. Another key factor lies in Jin's brand impact. His endorsements with Gucci, Alo Yoga, and most recently Lucidoel in Japan have proven to be economic powerhouses, generating millions in media value within hours of campaign launches. In contrast, while Bieber remains a household name, analysts argue his brand power has plateaued, whereas Jin's is still climbing rapidly as he expands into fashion, beauty, and lifestyle markets. Critics and fans alike have drawn comparisons between the two stars' public personas. Bieber, once known as a teenage heartthrob who evolved into a controversial pop icon, has had a turbulent relationship with the media. Jin, on the other hand, has cultivated an image of humility, humor, and sincerity, qualities that resonate deeply with younger global audiences. This stark difference in perception has positioned Jin as a refreshing alternative in an era where authenticity drives loyalty. Of course, the debate is far from settled. Bieber continues to hold records and accolades that Jin has yet to match, particularly in Western markets, where the Canadian star built his empire over more than a decade. But the rapid pace of Jin's solo ascent, combined with BTS's looming 2026 reunion, suggests that the gap between the two is closing fast. The entertainment industry now faces an unprecedented question: is the world witnessing the rise of a new standard for global male soloists? If Jin's trajectory continues, 2025 may not just be remembered as his comeback year. It may mark the year he overtook Justin Bieber as the face of global pop culture. One thing remains certain: the numbers, the engagement, and the passion all point in one direction. Jin of BTS is not only competing with America's biggest stars, he may already be surpassing them. The ripple effect of Jin's rise is already being felt across the American entertainment industry. Behind the glossy magazine covers and red carpet smiles, industry insiders whisper about the Seokjin effect, a phenomenon where one artist's momentum begins to shift the balance of cultural power. Justin Bieber, long considered a staple of Western pop dominance, is now being spoken of in comparison to Jin, not the other way around. That inversion of perspective speaks volumes. Jin's advantage lies not only in his current achievements, but in the timing of his ascent. As the global music market becomes increasingly digital and fan-driven, Jin is emerging as the model for what it means to be a modern superstar. His bond with ARMY is not transactional, it is emotional, built on years of sincerity, self-deprecating humor, and quiet strength. Where Bieber's narrative has been shaped by fame, scandal, and reinvention, Jin's has been shaped by resilience, humility, and artistry. To audiences fatigued by the drama of traditional Western pop stars, Jin feels like a breath of fresh air. This is why some analysts warn that Jin may represent more than just competition. He may represent a changing of the guard. American idols once set the pace for global music culture, but now a South Korean artist, armed not with industry backing alone, but with authentic fan devotion, has proven he can outpace them. If Jin can consistently break into US streaming charts, sell out arenas, and dominate luxury fashion spaces, the industry will have to recalibrate its definition of global influence. The cultural implications extend further. Jin's success is not just a personal triumph, it is symbolic of the rise of Korean soft power. In the same way American icons once defined global style, sound, and aspiration, Jin is now doing the same for K-pop on an unprecedented scale. Every time he trends in the US, every time he is compared with a Western icon, the world is reminded that cultural dominance no longer flows in one direction. For ARMY, this is more than validation, it is vindication. Years of unwavering loyalty to Jin are finally being recognized on the world stage, and their collective force is rewriting the rules of what fandom can achieve. For the industry, it is both a revelation and a warning. Ignoring Jin is no longer possible, and for Justin Bieber and his contemporaries, it raises an uncomfortable question. If Jin, fresh from military service and only 2 years into his solo journey, can already surpass long-established stars in metrics of popularity, what will happen when BTS reunites in 2026 with him at the forefront? The answer may already be clear. Jin is not just catching up, he is redefining the race. Whether the industry is ready or not, the eldest member of BTS has staked his claim among the world's elite, and his shadow now stretches far across the American pop landscape. In 2025, the narrative has shifted. Justin Bieber is no longer the standard against which Jin is measured. Instead, Jin is the new global benchmark, and the rest of the industry, American or otherwise, must decide whether they can keep up. The quiet storm that Jin has unleashed is not just about streaming numbers, award wins, or brand endorsements. It is about the shifting center of global pop culture. For decades, the United States dictated the standards of stardom, producing figures like Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, and later Justin Bieber, who became synonymous with youth culture and global influence. But in 2025, that dominance is under direct challenge, and the challenger is Jin Seokjin of BTS. What makes this moment more dramatic is that Jin is not even at the peak of his potential yet. He has returned from military service less than 2 years ago, and already his solo discography is breaking records. His fashion presence is commanding headlines in Paris and Milan, and his fan-driven power is shaking the foundations of traditional industry control. If this is what he can achieve at the start of his solo journey, then the future could very well mark a complete restructuring of who sits at the top of the global hierarchy. For Justin Bieber and other American idols, the comparison is uncomfortable. Bieber, who built his career through YouTube discovery and industry machinery, has relied on a Western system that is increasingly outdated in the age of decentralized fandom. Jin, on the other hand, thrives in the new reality where power is not concentrated in record labels, but in the hands of fans. ARMY does not just consume Jin's music. They mobilize for him, fight for him, and ensure that every release becomes a cultural event. It is a force of devotion that American celebrities have long lost touch with. This is why entertainment analysts warn that Jin is not just competing with Bieber, he is reshaping the game entirely. If Bieber represents the last generation of Western-centric pop dominance, Jin represents the new era where Asia, through K-pop, commands equal or greater cultural clout. And unlike temporary trends, Jin's foundation is built on something deeper than hype. Authenticity, artistry, and connection. The American industry now faces a question that it has avoided for too long. Can it keep up with a Korean artist who has proven capable of surpassing their brightest stars, even with every disadvantage stacked against him? The uncomfortable reality is that Jin has done in 2 years what many American idols struggled to achieve in a decade. This looming tension sets the stage for what could be one of the most fascinating cultural showdowns in modern history. When BTS reunites in 2026, with Jin carrying the momentum of his solo success, the stakes will be even higher. The West will no longer be the automatic epicenter of music and fashion. It will have to share the stage, or worse, risk being overshadowed. For now, one fact is undeniable. Jin does not merely stand beside Justin Bieber. He stands above him in ways that matter most in 2025. Popularity, loyalty, influence, and cultural resonance all tilt in his favor. And as the world continues to chant his name, the message is clear. The era of Western monopoly in global pop culture is ending, and Jin BTS is leading the new chapter.